All right, welcome everyone. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing a $1,400 fourth stimulus check for between 50 million and 100 million people who are low income and fixed income beneficiaries of Social Security, retirement, disability, SSDI, survivors, spousal, SSI, VA, RRB, low income, no income, seniors, older adults, and of course, people with disabilities, and how much. That's the focus of the video. Let's get into it and talk through all the details. All right, now obviously this is a very hot button issue and a very popular question that I do get literally every single day down below in the comments section. But I do want to focus on between 50 million and 100 million people who are all low income or fixed income beneficiaries right now in regards to a $1,400 fourth stimulus check, which, by the way, can I ask a really quick question? And this may be very, very obvious, but I'm just very curious if you are interested in sharing down below in the comments section. If you were to get a one-off $1,400 check right now deposited into your bank account or onto your Direct Express card or delivered to you in some way, how would you use that money? I'm just really, really curious. Now, again, obviously everybody's situation is very different. I'm just very curious if you're interested in sharing down below in the comments section, how would you use that money? I'm just interested to know what is the need right now. I get it. Everybody needs more money. I totally 100% understand that. I do get it. But what would that money actually be used for? Okay. That's just my question, okay? If you don't want to answer that, that's totally fine. Don't do it. I'm just very curious if you happen to be interested in sharing down below. I would love to read those comments. And again, I'm just curious to see if there's a commonality between this. Is there like one common theme that I'm seeing across, the majority of comments, or is it just kind of all across the board? I'm just very interested in knowing. So anyway, I do want to talk through the details. And I remember this much as well. A couple years ago when we got stimulus checks, guess how many people those checks went out to? I'll tell you, 85% of the population, which encompassed at the time about 282 million people. That's nuts, right? Considering a population of about 333 million people at the time that those stimulus checks went out, encompassing 85%, again, a little over 282 million people that got those payments. That's massive, and I'm going to be honest with you, that is totally 100% unnecessary. We do not need stimulus checks going out to 85% of the population. We just don't, okay? 85% of the people do not need checks, okay? They'll gladly take them, but they definitely do not need them, okay? That might be a very unpopular thing of me to say, but I'm just telling you the truth. That's the reality of the situation, okay? So everybody doesn't need it, but they'll gladly take it, but they don't need it, okay? So anyway, I want to talk through the details about this really quickly. However, before we get into it a little bit further, can I ask a huge, huge favor of you? If you've not done so yet, will you do me a huge favor? Will you make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting the subscribe button right down below the video? It's totally free to do so. I'm here for you every single day. I'm watching the headlines, doing the research, advocating on your behalf, and doing anything I possibly can to help you navigate this tough time right now. I get it. I've seen the comments. I've been here for you every single day for the last, 3.5 years or longer? Every single day, thousands of videos. Again, I understand it. I see the comments down below. I see the struggle. It's very real right now. There's a lot of people that are in a really tough financial situation. It's sad to see. I get it, okay? So again, thank you so much for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it. We've got to stick together right now. Rough times out there, and I'll do whatever I can for you. So again, thank you so much. Please subscribe down below, and feel free to share this video with the share button down below as well with your friends on social media. All right, thank you so much for watching. Let me talk through the details. All right, so as I mentioned, again, I laid some of the groundwork just a minute ago. 282 million people got the checks a couple years ago, okay? Now, this is arguably one of the reasons that we saw a lot of inflation. Now, again, I don't totally buy that. I'm just being real with you, okay? I do think it did lead to some inflation, but they printed $6 trillion in the course of about a 12-month period of time. The stimulus checks in total, all three of them that we got, the 1,200, the 600, and the 1,400, encompassed about $850 billion. Roughly, give or take a little bit, about 850. So what is that? About a sixth, not even 1/6 of the total money that was printed in about a 12-month period of time. So yes, it certainly led to some inflation, but certainly not all of it, as some people like to point the finger and say it's all because of the stimulus checks. I don't really know about that. What happened to the other, say, $5.15 trillion? Okay, that'd be my big question, right? Where did that go, right? I think that caused a lot of inflation too. But anyway, so let's talk through the details, okay? Now, when it comes down to a $1,400 stimulus check or any stimulus check for any dollar or any dollar amount, literally doesn't matter. Fill the blank in with any dollar amount. But do you think that 282 million people need a check here in the country? No. Okay, I'm just going to answer it for you. No, absolutely not. but will gladly take it if it was offered. However, when we look at the real numbers here, about 50 to 100 million people, and again, 50 million probably is more realistic, but maybe upwards of 100 million people would need a check, realistically, okay? I'm being a realist here when it comes down to the numbers, okay? Maybe 100 million people actually need it, but about 50 to maybe 70 million people actually probably really do need it, whereas 100 million, upwards of that much, okay? But let's talk through the numbers here, okay? Like I said at the beginning of the video, how much? Let me explain the details about this, because remember, I told you, in total, those 3 checks that went out over the course of, what was that, a 1-year period of time? Was $850 billion, okay? Now get this, if they were to send out just a one-off $1,400 check for, say, 50 million people, how much do you think that would cost, okay? Obviously, if you're good at math, or even if you're just decent at math, you probably know the answer, right? $70 billion. That's nothing, okay? $70 billion in the grand picture of everything going on here, $70 billion is nothing. That's literally nothing, okay? They give away $70 billion all across the globe way more easily than they offer it to us here in the country, okay? Just saying, okay? We know the details about this, right? Now, again, here's another thing as well. If they were to offer $1,400 check, okay, just a one-off $1,400 check to 100 million people, a one-time payment to 100 million people, again, the math would say that's $140 billion. Again, not much. That's a very small fraction of what they actually sent out in that 1-year period of time, encompassing $850 billion, okay? So what's the point here? Why am I saying all this? My point is, we've seen the studies, we've seen the statistics, we've seen all the numbers over the last several years. In fact, you've heard me talk about them before in other videos. A lot of reports have come out showing that we kind of blew it when it came down to stimulus checks, okay? They really kind of blew it. They kind of dropped the ball when it comes down to it. So a lot of the studies have come out and shown that going forward, in the event of another stimulus check going out, which, by the way, no, a stimulus check has not been approved right now. I say that all the time in my videos. Anytime that I talk about anything, even referring to anything along these lines, I always say, no, a stimulus check has not been approved right now. And will something be approved? I have no idea. But as of right now, it has not. So if if any person is telling you that they are and that they're coming tomorrow, false. It's not true, okay? So anyway, so I wanted to get that out of the way really quickly. But here's the thing. The studies have come out and shown very clearly that in the event of another stimulus check that is needed, here's the interesting part. They've said that between 50 and maybe 100 million people, tops, would actually need a check. Now again, this would cost anywhere between about $70 billion and about $140 billion in the event of a $1,400 one-off payment, okay? That's nothing, okay? So let's just think of it this way, okay? If they were to do this, now remember, they find that as well with these studies and these reports that sending out money to the lowest income people does exactly what they want. Let me tell you really quickly here. And again, I've talked about this before in other videos, but let me explain it really quickly. They continue to find that sending out money to the lowest income people stimulates the economy just as much if they were to send out twice or 3 times as much money to everybody or a huge percent of the population. Why? Higher income people or middle income people that don't need the money as urgently as low income people, they stash it away. They're like a bunch of squirrels. Dude, stop stashing your nuts away and spend it, right? Okay? That's the point of stimulus checks, is to be spent. Except for middle income and high income people, they're like a bunch of squirrels. They stash away their money like a bunch of nuts going away for the winter, and they don't spend it. That is not the point of stimulus checks, okay? So that was kind of one of the points that they made a couple of years ago, is that when they were sending out these payments, they were saying, hey, people are saving this money. They're saying, hey, everybody, we don't want you to save this. We want you to spend it. That's the whole point of stimulus checks, is to stimulate the economy. That's the whole point of them, right? So anyway, long story short here, going forward, in the event of another stimulus check being distributed, and if something were to happen, they could be way more efficient about this by a couple of different approaches here. Number one, a one-off $1,400 check, or again, any dollar amount. Literally doesn't matter the dollar amount. I'm just using $1,400 because that's a question that I get all the time. Okay, but anyway, they could just do a one-off check, and it would cost a fraction. Okay, a one-off check for 50 million people would be, in this case, $1,400, would be $70 billion. That's nothing. $70 billion is chump change. Okay, in this case as well. A one-off $1,400 check to 100 million people. Again, $140 billion. It's a little bit more, but honestly, it's still not that much when you look at all the things that have been going on. And considering the last few years here, they've passed multi-trillion-dollar packages. In fact, the CARES Act, $2.3 trillion. The American Rescue Plan, $1.9 trillion, okay? The other package that they passed at the end of 2020, what was it, 2020? $900 billion. The infrastructure package, $900 billion. You see the point here. $70 billion and $140 billion, nothing. It's very, very minimal, right? So anyway, so that's one approach, a one-off check of whatever dollar amount, fill in the blank, for a specified, highly specified small group of low income and fixed income who they know will spend the money very, very fast, and they'll spend it in its entirety, plus probably more is what they find with the studies, okay? That's very, very efficient when it comes down to stimulating the economy. Now get this, there's also been discussion saying, hey, we could actually send out ongoing monthly checks for a specified period of time for this same group of people, the low income, the fixed income, a specified group of people, 50 million, 70 million, maybe 100 million people for a couple months. And we could help stimulate the economy, and it would still cost a fraction of the amount of money that it actually costs to send out multiple checks to a huge percent of the population, right? Remember, that $850 billion number that I said, that's a ton of money. That's almost $1 trillion sent out to 85% of the people that don't need it, right? But in this case, they could send out, say, I don't know, they could send out a one-off or monthly checks to maybe 30% of the population, or even less. Between 15 and 30% of the population could get these one-off checks who they know will spend it very fast. They'll spend it in its entirety, and they'll probably even spend more, which will have the same stimulative effect on the economy. Interesting, right? Yeah, again, very, very interesting. Why we need to watch this very closely, because if you are a low-income or fixed-income beneficiary, you never know what this next cycle is going to bring, okay? And again, I said it a minute ago, I'm going to say it again. Well, to be fair, it was a couple minutes ago. No, stimulus checks are not approved right now, but here's the thing. They will be. At some point, we will get stimulus checks again. Whether it's in a year, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. But they're going to do it again. Why? Because it's their play out of every single playbook. Anytime that the recession comes in and the economy goes down, what happens? We get stimulus checks. Whoa, voila, look at that. What a miracle, right? No, it's the same thing they do every single time. They print money, they push it out to us, and they tell us to spend it. Stimulate the economy, everybody. Buy yourself some stuff, right? Buy shoes, buy clothes, buy TVs, buy whatever, buy a car. They want us to stimulate the economy. It's the purpose behind it, right? So anyway, long story short is that maybe this next time around, maybe they look at the big picture and say, hey, man, last time we blew it. We caused all this inflation. We printed $6 trillion, and this time we could get by much more lean. We could get by sending out checks to only the people that really need it and the people that we know will spend it, rather than hoarding it away and paying down debts and paying down bills and, buying things that they don't need, and, buying crypto. Seriously, that was another big one as well. Investing in the market, by the way, investing a stimulus check into the market or in crypto is not stimulating the economy. That has no stimulative effect on the economy whatsoever, okay? That's not the point of them, okay? So anyway, long story short here, in the event of something else coming along here and another check being distributed or approved at any point, maybe this is how they would approach it, is saying, hey, we only need it to go out to maybe 15 to maybe 30% of the population at most. A one-off or even some kind of ongoing, a check for a short amount of time, 3 months, 4 months, something like that, would still cost the federal government significantly less than what it did the last couple of years when we saw $850 billion go out the door. And in this case, if they sent out a $1,400 check to 100 million people 3 times, what would that be? It'd be $420 billion, half of the amount that they sent out in those last couple of years here, where they sent it out to 85% of the population. See the point here? So they could help out 100 million people who are low income with a $1,400 check 3 times, and it would still cost less. It would cost half, less than half of what it cost for those 3 checks for 85% of the population. Do you see the logic behind this? It's very logical, right? Efficiency is key. Well, in my opinion, efficiency is key, but maybe everybody doesn't believe that. So anyway, I want to break this down for you really quickly and just show you the details behind this. It would not cost that much. At the end of the day, it's very minimal amount of money, considering they pass trillions of dollars in these packages. To peel off 70 billion, 140 billion, or even 420 billion is still very, very minimal when it comes down to this. And the inflationary impacts would also be minimal as well, right? Yes, it may cause a little bit of inflation, but at the end of the day, it would be very minimal considering what we saw the last couple of years here. Make sense? Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Again, if you have not done so, please subscribe down below. Totally free to do so. Share the video with your friends on social media with the big share button down below as well. Otherwise, go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel in the video library, or the ones that are down below in the description or the top of the comment section that I've hand selected for you there. Or again, lastly, on your screen popping up right now, you will see some videos popping up there. Make sure to check out those videos. Thanks for watching. Truly appreciate it. Have a nice day. Select your video now, and I'll catch you again later.